Hi, everyone. Thanks, Ava. Thanks, Isabella and Ava. And yeah, Allison, such a joy. Allison, such a joy. You know, there are, I'm just jumping straight into it because it was so powerful what she did. It's so powerful what she does. Um, I have a friend from Guatemala. I've known her years and years and years in LA, and she had gifted me, I think it's been about 25, 27 years now, and a little bamboo box, like the size of my thumb maybe, right? And it's a little tiny box that you open, and inside are these very, very tiny, just like Allison's, homemade dolls that are made from leftover threads and leftover things that you might have around your house that are precious to you, you don't want to throw away. And these dolls are all made from this and kept in this little tiny bamboo box, and they're called worry dolls. So what we're supposed to do with them is, at night, if you're really, really bothered and vexed and, troubled by issues and thoughts or whatever it is, the troubles that chase you, you take these little tiny dolls at night before you go to sleep. You take them out of your this little tiny bamboo box, and you tell the dolls your worries, you tell the dolls your troubles and what is happening and what you need resolved and what you need help with. And then you put them under your pillow. And by the morning, you have your solutions. By the morning, the worries are gone. By the morning, it's been solved. This is how these worry dolls work. So I say it at every turn, Allison's work is so, wow, it's so meticulous, and it's so strong in its, veracity, and you can't touch her work. It's incredible where she's gone with it. And yet, for me, the power of Allison is that someone at her caliber of writing and research and engaging these storylines understands the power of burning sage at Wharton, and understands what writing a letter and putting them in with mother dolls mean, and how strong that is, how powerful that is. So that's very valuable for me, because this is also, it's the traditions I come from as well. It's all the traditions I come from as well, where I think it was said best by my friend Amandeep, who writes about Punjab, which is where a lot of the farmers are from, who are gathered in Delhi right now. And it's a concept that's called, in Punjabi, the concept is called Miri Piri. The word is Miri Piri, and that means spiritual and temporal. That we live in this embodiment as strongly in the spirit world as we do in the temporal world. And both each are to be in balance and equal in priority in order for us to most effectively navigate this flux. So the spiritual and the temporal, this is what for me, I feel has, as I've seen, around our worlds gone off balance. This is what's this new religious cult we have in our planet. And I've spoken about this a little bit before, you know, where it operates just like any other cult. It has dogmas, it has fundamentalists, it's extreme, it's, you know, non-inclusive, and it can't be questioned. It insists on belief. Scientism, this cult of scientism, which only addresses the temporal. It doesn't touch on the spiritual. And that's what's out of balance. That's what's out of balance. Science is good. Science is great. You know, what we practice here that I know as the Sanatan Dharma is observation-based conclusions, which is what science is. And I think we've forgotten that, giving it over to scientism. So please forgive me for not having the camera on. Yes, there's a glitch and the quirk with my Wi-Fi. If I put both on, I may lose one or the other. So I just felt the sound is, I told Isabella earlier, the sound is what we could go with. And this has been the outcome of 2 nights ago. We had an incredible storm here, which was the most unusual in February in Goa. I'm in Goa, in India, on the western coast. Tropical, you know, tropical lands. And we had just a storm out of the blue, howling winds and thunder and lightning. And we actually had what we call here aula. I don't know what, hail. I think you all call it hail in English, or like small frozen balls with the rain was frozen. And the lady who comes to work with us, our housekeepers from the village as well, Philomena, she came in the morning and said, this is happening because God is not liking what's going on. And she's, you know, she's been in the village years and years, born and brought up here. I think she's 3rd generation in this village where we live. And just simple, straight, direct she is. And I think she has great wisdom. I think she has great wisdom in the way she came in and said that straight away. She said, God is not liking what's happening, and this is what's going on. This is how she's going to interpret it, whatever it was that went on 2 nights ago. I tend not to believe it was just a freak tropical storm or unseasonal weather, as it were. I tend not to believe that. I tend not to believe that's what's happening in Texas either. I tend not to believe that a lot of the events we may see now will be yet another phase of, as Alison was describing, you know, these children gone awry and run amok and not lost their ways, basically, lost their ways. These are beings and entities who have just lost their ways, and so greed and avarice and the Wetiko virus has taken over their minds, and they are operating in the way they are. And this is all to do with the temporal world. And in the spiritual world, I have to say, I have such grand and incredible and powerful hope in these 1 million or so of our Annadatas who are gathered around laying siege in a peaceful protest to all the boundary approaches into the city-state of Delhi. I have such incredible hope. I have so much faith in these people and what they're doing, and their grounded, solid knowledge and commitment to right action and moral courage. And I think we can all, each one of us, draw so much from them. I think anybody, anywhere, who rises from the authenticity of their moral courage is doing so for all of us. That personal evolution that occurs where, you know, you just draw that line on the sand and you can't take it anymore, and you just stand up. You stand up and you rise and you face what you fear and you say, no, this will not stand. It will not stand. That moral courage is the most freeing, the most high, and I think the evolution of us as a species, the evolution of our consciousness. And I think that's where we're all going. I think that's why the events we're experiencing in these times for us are as extreme as they are. It's pushing us to the evolution of our consciousness, to the evolution of our species. I just actually finished writing the third in a series of articles about the farmers' protest. The first one, the one that we did the talk with about Isabella, which was just about all, you know, friends from outside India asking what's happening, what does it mean, what's going on, and answering those questions. The second one is actually Cory Morningstar, who's written about the advent of, you know, a lot of celebrity presence that came into the Greta and Rihanna and all of this, and what that could mean. And my third one that I've just finished writing and hopefully should upload in the next few hours is about what did happen because of that and what we're seeing roll out now. So that's something coming up. And yeah, I'm happy to.
We have a question here on the chat from Jay, which says, Deepti, what news source do you
recommend for the protests? So Trolley Times is a newsletter that's being published out of the Tikri border site. It's my friend Navkiran Nath, who was introduced to me by another friend, author Amandeep Sandhu. She's an activist. Both her parents are union leaders. She's been there from day one. She's a dentist. She's studied film, and she is part of the co-founders of this newsletter that's called Trolley Times, which has now become the main resource for information out of the borders, out of the encampment sites, the protest encampment sites. And it's published in Punjabi, in Hindi, and in English. So overall information, and they're on all the platforms. They're on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and they have a website as well. So it's called, let me just write it out there. It's called Trolley Times.
And it's, I'd really recommend that reading Deepti's articles, because certainly when this all kicked off, it was very difficult to follow it, because there wasn't a lot in English, and it wasn't being covered very much.
Yeah.
And Deepti's done a lot of work to just draw a lot of the information together, and there's so many other links that you can connect to there, Jay.
Yeah. And I think at this point, I just want to say also, it's just really important to watch this, you know, for all of us to keep an eye on it. In fact, I'm asking everyone here, keep an eye and a thought and a prayer to these people. They're you know, they're the last of the innocents. They're the last of the innocents, you know, of really pure hearts and the alignment of intent, thoughts, words, action. These are the last of these people that in the world who live in this way. They don't even know any different than this. And I think this is something so important to preserve amongst us, to keep this line and this culture and this way of being alive and vibrant, you know, and not for it to become a zoological culture like the Sentinels have in the Andaman Islands. They shouldn't be relegated to a quirk somewhere in the back of beyond. So yeah, something really important to do is to keep an eye on them, because yes, there is a heavy attack on now. It's a heavy attack. Cory was very right with the advent of, you know, the Greta Thunberg and the team that is behind her. I don't want to say her because she's a child, but the Greta Thunberg team that's behind her and manages that public persona, Rihanna, so many others now joined in the game. And hopefully you'll see this article that I put out on Civilian Air in the next few hours. There's been a huge revelation around it also, just as we all suspected and knew all along, those of us who would have taken the time to delve into this. You know, the 3 farm laws against which all these protests have arisen, Modi was pushed by the WEF. As of 2008, they've been trying to get into India from 96, from the 60s, they've been trying to get into India and take over the agriculture, and they haven't been able to. It's literally here, we're the last place left. It's the last place left. It's the last bastion of wilderness and undomesticated populations, if you will. When you see all the rest of Southeast Asia, Thailand, Philippines, the Koreas, North and South, anywhere you really, Vietnam, everywhere, Laos, everywhere you look, you see it's been modernized. It's become, you know, it has a very different, it's part of the progressive Western modern culture. India is the last place left. And for that reason alone, it's so important that we protect this.